morning. Welcome to 49ers in 5, your daily update on everything happening with the team that you need to know. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. Today is Thursday, October 19th, 2023. Here's what's happening with your San Francisco 49ers. No injury report because the team was off yesterday. So we're going to go right to the audio portion of today's show, which is good because the clips are a little long, but I want you to hear them. Steve Young was a guest on KNBR, and as you could imagine, Brock Purdy was a big topic of conversation. Listen to Steve Young talk about Brock's struggles against the Cleveland Browns.
For Brock, if we want to just study him, he's the kind of guy that right now it seems like he's thrived with tons of help. Like you can feel it. Like they're just now all of a sudden when things devolve and there's not as much help, that's when, like you said earlier, I heard you saying about when the great quarterbacks and he wants to be great, you figure that out. You got to make it work. And so we thought that would happen last week and it didn't. So we don't want to see that theme. We don't want to see, hey, things are devolving rough. You're not getting as much help. And all of a sudden you're diminished or you're smaller. I want you to big. It feels like when Patrick Mahomes gets in that situation, he gets bigger, and that's really important for Brock to kind of think about how to do that.
Now I know what some of you were thinking. You're all ready to go to your keyboard and start tapping away about how Steve Young is crazy, right? Just wait a second because the interview continued. Listen.
It's actually a great opportunity this week for Brock to now take everyone going, wow, what was that? And then go on the road and change that narrative. Like it's, now I know that he can come back from a bad game. And I know that's all. We haven't seen that yet. So it's all the scars that are coming and then fighting through them and thriving despite it is what needs to happen. So everybody wants to decide it right now. And the fact is, you don't know, I don't know, and Brock doesn't know. We got to go through it together. And we'll know it when we see it.
1 week ago, everybody loved Brock Purdy. Then he had one bad game against the Browns. All of a sudden, people are calling him a fraud. And guess what? If he plays well against the Vikings, you know what people are going to say? He's great again. That's just kind of how this thing works. So, Steve Young, what can Brock Purdy do against the Vikings to step up, especially if he doesn't have somebody like Deebo Samuel, like Christian McCaffrey, and like Trent Williams?
I think he's more elusive and can attack the line of scrimmage more than he certainly is today. And I think he could grow into that. So I'm not saying he can't. But if you're saying that he's going to play the position in a very guarded, careful, system way, I think the game is not that game as much anymore. So that makes it hard. And again, the degree of difficulty for Brock to play through that in today's game, especially at the championship level, is harder. And so we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. And he's got to keep an eye on it. He might have to adjust his game and say, you know what? In those big games, I've got to up the risk level. I've got to create more opportunities. I'm not going to be 14 touchdowns and one interception. I'm going to have to take more risks. So those are things he has to grow in. So again, I don't want to say he can or can't do anything. I said originally, let him cook. I love who he is. And I think we got to just live through that and hope that the dynamic nature of the game today, that he can fill that void in his own Brock Purdy way.
We don't know whether it's the 49ers telling Brock Purdy not to run or whether it's his own choice, but Brock doesn't use his legs to gain yards. In his entire 49ers career, Brock Purdy has run for 10 or more yards in a game just twice, and that's including the playoffs. So if he's going to start, it's going to be a big change from the Brock Purdy that we have seen with the 49ers so far. We always give you one thing to read, one thing to watch, and one thing you might have missed. One thing to read on this Thursday. We all know Brock Purdy doesn't make a lot of money by NFL quarterback standards, but ESPN.com actually devoted an entire column to calculating how long it takes the other quarterbacks in the league to earn Brock Purdy's salary. Spoiler alert, for some of them, it is not very long. Kind of a fun article, though. Maybe you want to go and check it out. If you do, just click the link in the description of this episode. One thing to watch. First of all, I owe you an apology. I gave you a bum steer. I told you Kyle Shanahan's press conference was yesterday. I forgot with the game being on Monday. Everything is bumped a day later in the week. So that is my bad. Kyle Shanahan's press conference is today. You will hear him speak. But I'll give you another thing to watch since I kind of screwed you yesterday. Deebo Samuel is continuing to give oxygen to the feud between himself and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Deebo was a guest on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams, and he responded to Gardner-Johnson's latest trash talk. It's just going back and forth. I'm not going to play every single thing they say about one another because it's frankly just gone on too long. But I'll have the link to the video of that in the description of this episode as well if you want to check that out. One thing you may have missed. Apparently, Stephen A. Smith and Chris Mad Dog Russo got into a discussion on First Take, and Stephen A. Smith said he would take Tyreek Hill now over any wide receiver that's ever played the game. And why are we doing this? I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to be this guy, but I will because apparently it's a thing that needs to get done. So in service to the public, I will remind you once again, stop saying other receivers are better than Jerry Rice. They're not. They just aren't, okay? If you took Tyreek Hill's career output and doubled it right now, he would still have almost 3,000 yards less than Jerry Rice, okay? If you took his career touchdown output and doubled it right now, he would still have more than 50 fewer touchdowns than Jerry Rice, okay? Stop it. Just no. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying it, but I will because Jerry Rice is my all-time favorite player, and it's amazing that people have forgotten just how great he was not that long since he retired. Very frustrating. That's a wrap on today's 49ers in 5. Please rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We are so grateful for all your support. Stay tuned for the Gold Standard Podcast with myself and Levin Black. We're going to be live today, 10 a.m. Pacific time. A little change for us because usually we're not live because Levin has to work, but we will be live. So please join us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch. Bring your questions, your comments. Levin's a little fired up by something that another member of the Gold Standard Network said earlier this week. So you're definitely going to want to go, or come, I should say, and check that out. And we hope that you do. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. We'll talk later today.